Well, seems like Ultra Hit's time stop is not as broken as we thought. Now, I'm pretty sure you guys already have experienced or maybe faced up against some Ultra Hits as he released, and it might seem like it's a pretty cracked mechanic. I mean, to be fair, it's a pretty strong mechanic, right? Being able to stop time and just do as much damage as possible and stuff like that. But as we got more time to play against Hit, people have noticed that there are ways, pretty easy ways to counter his time stop, which isn't really good because it's been advertised, I guess, as something that's unavoidable. You can't vanish it, you can't counter it through like traditional means like strike cards or anything like that, and you're just frozen in time, right? But the biggest problem with his time stop is that the whole animation to actually start into the time stop is pretty long, and in that short period, in that time period, you're able to kind of utilize moves that could stop the whole animation. So, for example, here, this is one of the examples on how to counter it. Shout out to Green Ruff here. I think this happened in one of his videos. You could see that his enemy used the time stop, and he just went for a tab blast at long range, and that stopped the animation. Now, I have a video, or I think it's in a video that's gonna be coming up soon, where I used the time stop, and I used it right after the opponent uses a blast card. I thought that, he used a blast card, so maybe the time stop would work like some sort of counter, like how many people have a blast counter. But no, once I used it, it actually just completely stopped it. So this is also another way to just simply counter it, right? Now, obviously, the example that I'm talking about is not a really great example, since I use the time stop after the opponent uses a blast card. But if it was the other way around, it would have worked, right? But in this case, look at here. He used the time stop, and a tab blast quickly stopped it. Now, maybe the timing of the tab blast matters. Obviously, you can't launch the tab blast like 1 second into the animation. You have to kind of time it pretty well, because as you can see in this animation here, Green Ruff tab blast the second he went for a time stop, or actually utilized both moves at the same time. So you need to have the timing down pretty well. Another example here, I don't know who this is, but shout out to DBLGG. This is also another very easy way to do it. So he goes for a time stop, and Zamasu goes for the tackle, and the tackle actually overrides it. Now, similarly to the tab blast example, this one has to also be at the same time, or they have to kind of be clicked at the same time. I don't think you can tackle after the time stop is activated. I think that will actually allow the time stop to go through. So you need to most likely go for the tackle at the same time, which obviously the timing is important. But this is another way to counter it. And I guess going along with the tackle, I'm guessing the quick attack would also be able to interrupt the time stop. This is not tested. I haven't tested this, but I'm just assuming if you get the timing right at the same time as like this tap attack. So let's say you go for the quick attack at the same time your opponent goes for the time stop. I'm pretty sure it will stop the time stop mechanic. So there is many ways to actually just stop this. I don't know if would tap attacks work as well. Like, let's say you're at close range and he goes for a time stop. Can you just tap attack it? Because you got to remember that this time stop is not a counter, right? It doesn't work like, LF Gogeta Blue's strike counter that counters any strike or tap attacks or tackles. And it's not a counter like, let's say, the first anniversary purple Vegeta. That's the first thing that comes to mind. It's not a counter like him, where if you go for a blast attack at long range or mid range or whatever, or even close range to be honest, it'll counter it and he gets to start a combo. So this time stop is not a counter. It acts as just like a regular move. And if the whole animation of him, putting his hands in his pocket and bowing his head, if that whole animation passes through, then the time stop will activate. If you're able to interrupt it within that time period, then you're able to stop it in its tracks. And I also think this works at a lot close range too, like point and blank range. If you go for a strike card point and blank, you can't just counter it with a time stop, right? Like I said, it's not a counter. So this does kind of, I guess, undervalue Hit's time stop, because many people thought it was going to be like such a broken mechanic. And like I said, it's still a good mechanic, but there are very easy counters to it, which kind of brings his value down slightly, right? So that's pretty much what I want to talk about in this one. Just want to make this video just clarifying that, you know, Hit's time stop is not as broken as many people thought going into the reset, right? People thought he was going to be cracked beyond belief, but he's still a very, very, very good unit. It's just that he's not as broken as we thought initially. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like and don't forget to subscribe because it's so important, so don't forget. Have a great day. See ya.